Thank you very much. Thank you guys for inviting Cisco to this conference. I think I will start off with my geekiness, I guess, right? I was in Cisco TAC for 4.5 years, so maybe I've supported some of your customers, some of you down the road a few years ago. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So our approach to, I think you heard about OpenFlow, SDN, a lot of this talk, and we took a holistic approach. And our approach is this open network environment. We will talk about that. It's our framework for open, programmable, app-aware networks, basically. So I manage the product management team for network virtualization and SDN product management team at Cisco. And I've been in Cisco for more than 12 years. Now, this is Dave covered a little bit. Before we get into about networks, we wanted to understand what the IT care abouts are. Because at the end of the day, it's about IT infrastructure. It's not just about networks, just not about compute. It's just not about storage. You have, if you look at the set of customers over here, you come from different verticals, different deployment points like branch, campus, data center. So your care abouts your care abouts are different. So, but if you break it down to some of the common elements, like Dave pointed out, agility of the IT infrastructure. What does it mean? It is the ability to bring in new services, ability to adapt to new business requirements. The other part is simplification. As you want to do agile networks, agile IT, you want to be able to do it in a faster, simpler, and also troubleshootable way, and keep the total cost of ownership very low. And then last but not the least about the IT requirement is that can you bring business value to your end businesses, basically. You want to be able to have the IT flexible and fast and simple so that you can bring enough dollars back to your actual business. So we talked to quite a variety of customers. I'm going to build out this slide so that you can see that our approach to SDN or our approach to programmable networks is just beyond data center or any specific parts of the network. So if we talk to when you talk to campus users, they are looking for centralization of their wired and wireless, how they bring about users and provide network access control and QoS. If you talk to our enterprise data center folks, which is sort of the most vibrant aspect in this space, is they talk about how do I bring in multiple hypervisors? How do I build out my private cloud so that my dev and workload, dev and even other businesses be able to do a self-service portal? How do I build my private clouds? If I talk to our large-scale search engines or Facebook, those kind of social media sites, they have lots of devices in the data center. They are massive data centers, and they want to be able to program the whole network. Just like they do servers, they want to be able to bring up the servers, bring up the network, and be able to program it just like they do the whole network, whole IT. If you talk to our cloud providers, these are traditional people competing against Amazon EC2, for example. They care about is how do I bring in as many tenants as possible in a scalable, secure fashion? How do I take advantage of things like OpenStack and be able to automate my network along with my compute and storage? And also there's traditional service providers. They are the traditional telcos. They want to be able to make the network more agile so that they can actually build more faster services for their customers. But the overall theme is, if you look at the bottom, the simplicity, obviously, automation, and manageability. You don't want to just automate the network and not able to troubleshoot it, right? So the one thing is, you give me this easy button, so you click on it. Now the network is all moving fast without your sort of knowledge. How do I troubleshoot it? It's not about just the day zero provisioning aspects of it. It's about how do you enable the network in a more organic fashion to be able to leverage intelligence out of the network and be able to analyze what's happening in the network when you install an application. You don't want today's behavior is different from tomorrow's behavior. Your workloads are spread across all your parts. Now you don't know what happened tomorrow because the workloads moved around and the underlay and overlay is not talking to each other. So we think that to build a holistic network, you need to be able to analyze what's happening in the physical as well as the virtual network. So our approach is basically end-to-end visibility and basically highly visible networks. Now, when you talk about programmability models, now you want to achieve all of these aspects. How do you really go about doing that? Traditionally, you have been accessing control and data plane in a single box, and you use SNMP and network management tools. When I talked to customers, even last week, right, customers are saying, is SDN really a solution looking for a problem? So there are still a lot of customers who are saying, I hear a lot about SDN, hear a lot about OpenFlow in the media. Is it real? Do I really need it? So there's definitely, you are already doing a lot of things today in a fashion. But we understand that the requirements are changing. So how do we go about doing that? If you look at one of the model is that you enable what's already there, the infrastructure that's already there, the investment that you've already made, and be able to do it, configure it, manage it in a programmable fashion. One of the approaches is to be able to make the network more programmable through providing programmatic interfaces, C, Java, Python, whatever the case may be. The other approach is sort of, let me take the control plane and data plane separately. Make my data plane simple or dumb, whatever you want to call it, and then all the intelligence sits in the control plane. That's one approach, most famously, talked about in the context of OpenFlow. But that's just one way of doing it. Now, there are other protocols beyond it, like OpenFlow is one of them, I2RS, PCEP. There are multiple protocols which achieve that. One of the approaches that we think that's leverages the install base already is that enable the same model, enable the controller model, but using the traditional control plane. So you can maybe run agents, maybe a Puppet and Chef agent that actually automates your configuration of your network. Maybe other agents, maybe an OpenFlow agent or some other agent that sits alongside the hybrid data plane and be able to program the network. And then the last piece is about network overlays. This is a concept where you keep the physical network infrastructure and then you build a complete overlay on top of it. Could be purely a software overlay, or it could be an integrated overlay. I think this is an approach where, I don't want to deal with the physical complexity, what's happening in the underlying layer. I'm a software vendor. I can just do a software overlay on top of you. But is it a good approach? We are more flexible. We believe that we want to enable all of these approaches, right? Cisco's approach is that, hey, there are definitely use cases which satisfies all of these needs. Our customers are data center, campus, branch, cloud, private cloud, public cloud, anything, right? All of these users are different, and so we want to enable all of these three approaches in Cisco's vision of how we want to approach this. So one is the APIs, another is the controller-based models in different form factors, another is the network overlays. So here's our here's our definition of here's our approach to this trend. This is called open network environment. Essentially, we believe it's a comprehensive approach to this problem or to this new trends. Essentially, it will be enabled across our physical and virtual network and compute and hardware and software elements of our portfolio, basically. It is not just restricted to specific data center or campus or branch. It's across the whole portfolio or across whole infrastructure. So the approaches we take is the programmable APIs. Like we talked about, that's one way to enable existing infrastructure or even new infrastructure to be completely programmable. Keep the control and data plane together, but enable programmatic interfaces, for example, C, Java, etc. So our 1PK kit is our way to enable our platforms, either iOS, NXOS, iOS XR, all our platforms from Catalyst, Nexus to iOS products to have the same API, same interface, so that you can actually create applications for it. The second approach is enabling the controllers and agents. Some of them could be OpenFlow agents. We announced OpenFlow controller already, and we will be shipping shortly. Some of them could be ability to use I2RS, which is a protocol for routing. PCEP, which is based on a Cariden acquisition, for example. Or it could be a Chef and Puppet agents, which enable people to be able to configure or enable the network same way they do the servers as well. And so that's definitely a use case. And the last thing is network overlays. Now, we also have network overlays because that's definitely a use case in some of the private cloud infrastructure. They want to be able to build these overlay networks. So we will provide software overlays, and ideally, basically towards the end of the year, we would eventually be providing what we believe is the best network overlays. So where the physical infrastructure is integrated so that you have end-to-end visibility and troubleshootability of these overlay networks. So you have the flexibility, simplicity aspect of click, 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 right? But you also have the ability to actually manage it afterwards. And one other approach we are taking is that we are making it open. So the point of open network environment is that if only Cisco does it, that's not really open. So we're going to enable these APIs, enable these applications, and provide APIs and open protocols. So Cisco will write some applications. So you will see some applications coming from Cisco. Ken will cover that in some more details. And we will have customers. You can write your application. These APIs are published. And we will also, we believe, we have 200 ISVs that are working to get our APIs and build our products, commercial products on top of our APIs. So we're going to see a vibrant ecosystem develop on top of that. And some of them could be open source protocols. So that's, and I think Ken will go into details. Ken is presenting our breakout, so I wanted to just stop here.